You know, it's a scary thing whenever you start something new again. Even when I start a movie, and I haven't done a movie in a few months or a year or whatever. But this was really different because I hadn't been inspired to really go into the studio and write a whole album for years. My own album. I did Marry Me a few years ago for the movie. But this was not a Jennifer Lopez album, not a J-Lo album. And again, I hadn't been inspired at all. So to get inspiration actually was the kind of gift, was kind of the exciting thing and wanting to go in there. And yes, I was nervous at first, but I went in there on the first day and I talked to Roger and Angel and Giddy and all the guys who were working on the album with me. There was about 4 or 5 of us, Ink and Stevie Mackey, and I said, this is the mission. We made This Is Me then, 20 years ago. We're gonna make This Is Me now. This miracle has happened, a second chance. And I'd love to capture this moment in time the way that album captured that moment in time.
And in the production notes, you talked about people not understanding the vision for the film initially, and you like really standing your ground. Can you talk a little bit more about the challenges with that?
Yeah, nobody wanted to make the project. There doesn't seem to be a big appetite for musical projects from the powers that be these days, and which is sad because I remember growing up and loving to see these music projects from my favorite artists, but they just don't see it that way. And so I knew that I still wanted to make it. I knew that it was going to be a big risk, but something was driving me to really get it done. And I thought, when they see what I mean, maybe they don't understand what I mean, what I want to make. And I knew it was hard because it hadn't been done before. So it was hard to describe to people. As you see when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. When you see it, I said, when they see it, they're going to get it. And that's what happened, thank God. It could have really turned out badly. And by the way, every day that's how I felt. This could really turn out badly. But I stood the course, like the captain in the middle of the storm of the ship. It's like, we really could die right now, but we're gonna keep going.
The star-studded Zodiac Council was just hysterical. And it was funny them like observing your life and having that kind of commentary. Yeah. I wondered if this had you reflecting on what it, like the impact of having your relationships play out in the public over, you know, your adult life.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, you described it perfectly. It was a commentary on that, but it was also like, because everybody has that in their life, right? So it's like kind of the Greek chorus of your own life. You know, you have your friends, your family, your siblings, your coworkers, everybody commenting like, oh, she's dating this person. Did you hear she broke up with that? You know, and they're always like telling you, why are you with this guy? You know, everybody's always, and they're rooting for you. It's not that they're not rooting for you. And for me, it's like the media and the world sometimes that are commenting, right? But I think it was a really kind of humorous way to do it. But also be able to get those pieces of information in there, you know?
Do you feel like because your life has been played out in the public so much that you've been harder on yourself? Like you said, we all go through these things, but do you feel like you've been harder on yourself because of it?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's made me doubt myself and really feel bad about myself at times, make me feel like I wanted to quit at times, lots of things. Yeah, for 100% for sure. But at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, you kind of have to do this thing where you learn how to navigate it. You take the things that could be constructive about that and use it. And the rest you kind of just throw away as kind of like haterations or, you know, other things like that. And just like, oh, whatever. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. You know, and kind of like little by little, you know, as you get older and you get more mature and you have more experience, you start realizing more what's real and more what's kind of like just other people's thoughts out here, right? And you get more confident in who you are, which is nice.
It was interesting, the film is so much about like a journey of self-love and, you know, and finding yourself and being able to love yourself. In tandem with this album that you kind of talked about was heavily inspired by rekindling your relationship with Ben. So it's an interesting, like, those are two interesting things that, you know, maybe ostensibly are different, but I imagine you see them as relating to each other.
Well, I think what people would kind of assume is that this is a story about that. But the truth is, the story is not about that. Really, the story is about your journey as a person, as about one person's journey, and what it takes to get from, heartbreak back to love, or a hopeless romantic's journey in their search for love. You know what I mean? So there's different. I don't like to talk too much about like, here's what you'll get from it. I want everybody to get whatever they get from it. But at the end of the day, what I hope is that they're entertained, and that it gives them hope.
Is that why it was worth it to be so vulnerable at this point with this story?
It wasn't about like, oh, here's the right time to do this. It was just, this is how it happened. The instinct and the impulse, the creative impulse just hit me. I was just very inspired to do this. And it's like, well, why? Why put yourself out there? It's like, because that's what I felt like doing. That's what my heart was telling me to do. That's what my creativity was telling me to do. And it would have been very easy to be kind of, give it all up and go, okay, let's not do this. It's fine. Let's not do this. And think about later, like, oh yeah, I didn't do that because I was scared. I don't want to be there. I think as an artist, if you can't be honest and vulnerable, then you're really not doing your job right. It requires that. And not just in music, but in acting and in expressing yourself. You have to kind of bear a part of your soul. That's part of it. And it's not easy for people, for humans. For us humans, it's not easy. But as an artist, you have to kind of overcome that fear and go, you know what? I think what I want to say and what I want to express here is something that's worthy to be expressed, that I want to say, that I want to impart, that I want to share. I want to share that. I learned that. I want to share it, right? So I think that's the real challenge of being an artist.
Going back to them kind of saying no and you having to be like, no, this is my vision, and you really standing your ground artistically. If you look back on sort of when you were starting out in your career, how that's changed in terms of your willingness and ability to be like, to stand your ground artistically.
Yeah, I think you do have to stand your ground for what you believe in. And as you get, kind of more experience and people have more kind of respect for what you bring to the table, it's easier to do those things. But I think it's important to stick to your instincts and what you believe about yourself and what you have to say. And that's not always easy, because not everybody's going to get it. By the way, they did not get this. Nobody wanted to do this. I had to show them at the end of the day by doing it myself and taking that huge risk. Not just taking a huge risk kind of metaphorically, but financially and in every way, trying to, get people to understand what it is I wanted to do with this, which I think is, at the end of the day, just kind of entertaining, fun, but also full of a lot of heart and hope.